There are moments when life doesn't suddenly fall apart, it slowly fades. You wake up one day and realize something feels off, but you can't explain it. You're still functioning, still smiling when needed, still answering messages, still showing up. But inside, something is quietly slipping away. And the strangest part is this: no one notices. Not your friends, not your family, not even the person in the mirror. At first, you just start feeling not like yourself, and you assume it will pass. That it's just stress, just tiredness, just a phase. But what if it's not? What if your mind has been sending you signals this whole time, and you've been too overwhelmed to hear them? Because mental health doesn't collapse in a single moment. It whispers first. And today, you're going to understand those whispers. Not to label yourself, not to panic, but to finally see what your mind has been trying to say all along. And somewhere in the middle of this, you might realize something unsettling: that you were never lazy or dramatic or overthinking. You were struggling, quietly. Let's begin. There was a person who used to enjoy small things. Music on a random evening, tea in the morning, laughing at things that didn't matter, replying to messages without overthinking them. Then slowly, without any dramatic event, those things stopped feeling the same. Music played, but didn't feel like anything. Messages came in, but replying felt heavy. Even rest didn't feel like rest anymore. They didn't notice the exact day it started. There was no clear beginning, only a slow disappearance of color from their everyday life. And the most confusing part? Nothing bad had happened. That's what makes mental struggles so difficult to recognize. We expect pain to look like crisis, but sometimes it looks like emptiness. Pause and reflect. When was the last time you felt fully present in something small, without forcing it? Psychologically, what's happening here is not always obvious. The mind doesn't always scream. Sometimes it protects itself by numbing. When stress, sadness, or emotional overload becomes too much to process, the brain doesn't break immediately. Instead, it starts reducing emotional intensity. Joy feels weaker. Sadness feels distant. Motivation becomes inconsistent. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's a system trying to survive overload. But here's where it becomes dangerous. Because when things feel not that bad, we delay attention. We wait for proof, for something extreme, for a breakdown that justifies concern. But mental health doesn't always give you that kind of warning. It gives you subtle patterns. And if you don't know what to look for, you miss them. So let's go deeper. Not to diagnose anything, but to understand what your mind might be trying to tell you. Sign 1. You stop feeling interest in things you used to enjoy. This is not simple boredom. This is different. It's when things you once looked forward to start feeling empty. Not annoying, not stressful, just nothing. You try to watch something you used to love, but you lose focus. You go out, but feel disconnected. You scroll through memories of when you used to enjoy life, and it feels like watching someone else. A common mistake is thinking, I just changed. But this is often one of the earliest emotional signals that something deeper is happening internally. Not a personality shift, an emotional shutdown. Sign 2. Your sleep becomes unpredictable. Either you sleep too much or barely sleep at all. And even when you do sleep, it doesn't feel restorative. You wake up tired, or you lie awake with thoughts looping endlessly, replaying conversations, mistakes, possibilities. Sleep becomes less of a recovery process and more of an escape or a battle. And slowly, time loses structure. Days blend, nights feel heavier, and your mind never truly powers down. Sign 3. You start overthinking everything. Small decisions become mentally exhausting. A simple message takes minutes or hours to respond to. You imagine outcomes that haven't happened. You replay past conversations, searching for hidden meanings. And even silence starts to feel loud. Overthinking is often misunderstood as thinking too much. But in reality, it's the mind trying to gain control in situations where it feels powerless. So it creates simulations, endless ones, just to feel prepared. But instead of clarity, it creates exhaustion. Pause and reflect. How many decisions today felt heavier than they should have? Sign 4. You withdraw from people without realizing it. Not because you dislike them, but because interaction starts to feel like effort. Messages pile up. Replies get delayed. Invitations feel overwhelming. And slowly, without intention, you begin isolating. At first, it feels like relief. Less pressure, less performance, less explanation. But over time, isolation stops feeling peaceful and starts feeling heavy. The silence that once felt calming begins to echo. And still, you don't reach out. Not because you don't care, but because even connection feels like energy you don't have. Sign 5. Your emotions feel either too intense or completely absent. Some days, everything hits too hard. A small comment can feel devastating. A minor inconvenience feels unbearable. Then other days, nothing touches you at all. You feel distant from everything, like watching life from behind glass. This emotional inconsistency is not random. It's often a sign of emotional overload. When the system can't regulate properly, it swings between extremes. Too much feeling, or no feeling at all. Both are forms of exhaustion. Sign 6. Your body starts reacting before your mind does. Headaches, fatigue, chest tightness, stomach discomfort. But tests come back normal. And still, something feels off. This is because emotional stress doesn't stay emotional for long. It becomes physical. The body carries what the mind cannot process. And when emotions are suppressed for too long, the body starts speaking louder. Not to punish you, but to signal overload. Sign 7. You can't focus the way you used to. Reading a paragraph feels difficult. Watching something requires rewinding repeatedly. Tasks that were once simple now require constant mental effort. And then comes frustration. Why can't I just focus? But focus isn't just discipline. It's mental bandwidth. And when your internal world is already crowded, there's less space available for everything else. Sign 8. You feel persistent guilt or self-criticism. Even for small things. You replay mistakes repeatedly. You assume you're disappointing others, even without evidence. And internally, the voice becomes harsh. Not external criticism, internal pressure. And over time, that voice starts to feel normal. But it isn't truth. It's emotional fatigue expressing itself as judgment. Sign 9. Your energy feels drained no matter what you do. Rest doesn't fix it. Breaks don't restore it. Even doing nothing feels tiring. This is where many people misunderstand themselves the most. They think they are becoming lazy. But what's actually happening is depletion. Not of motivation, but of emotional reserves. When the mind is overloaded, even simple tasks feel heavy. Pause and reflect. Are you tired, or are you drained in a way rest doesn't fix? Sign 10. You start having thoughts of hopelessness. Not always dramatic. Sometimes subtle. What's the point? Nothing will change anyway. It doesn't really matter. These thoughts don't always come with urgency or panic. Sometimes they come quietly, during ordinary moments. While washing dishes. While lying in bed. While pretending everything is fine. And this is the sign that should never be ignored. Not because it defines you, but because it means your mind is carrying more pain than it can process alone. Now here's the twist most people don't expect. None of these signs appear in isolation. They build on each other. Slowly, quietly, until one day, you don't recognize yourself anymore. And then you assume the change is who you are. But often, it's not identity. It's accumulation. Small emotional weights stacking up over time until everything feels heavier than it should. And the hardest part? You adapted to it. You normalized it. You started calling it just life. But here's something important. Not every difficult phase means something is permanently wrong with you. Sometimes, your mind is simply asking for attention it never received. Not judgment. Not labels. Attention. Understanding. Space. Support. And if you've been recognizing yourself in these signs, something important needs to be said clearly. You don't fix this by forcing yourself to be stronger. You don't solve it by ignoring it. You don't overcome it by pretending it's not there. Because what you resist quietly usually grows quietly too. Real change often begins in a much smaller way. Not dramatic. Not instant. Just honest. Noticing how you feel without immediately dismissing it. Allowing yourself to pause without guilt. Reaching out, even if it feels unnecessary. Speaking, even if the words feel incomplete. Because healing rarely starts as a breakthrough. It starts as acknowledgement. And maybe the most powerful realization is this. You were not falling apart. You were carrying too much for too long without enough space to release it. So if there's one thing to take from this, it's not fear. It's awareness. Because once you can see the signs, you are no longer navigating blindly. And even if nothing changes overnight, something subtle already has. You're noticing. And noticing is where change begins. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for such awesome content. Let me know your thoughts and comments.